Hey everybody, welcome back to ChortleCast, the official podcast of Chortle Games, where the only enemy to progress is difficult work schedules. I'm Jake. Brody is not here. This is another Jake solo special. Brody had a work schedule that he got stuck into that he couldn't get out of, so it's just me today. But that's okay. We're still going to have a great show. We're going to talk about lots of great things. If you're a fan of ours, you already know that this is the official podcast of Chortle Games. It's where we get to talk about movies, TV shows, games, mostly games, but really anything we really want to talk about. So, Brody is not here, and also if you're watching on YouTube, which you can at ChortleGames.com, you have also probably noticed that this is a very different set than we normally are in. And that is because I think we've talked about this on the podcast before, but we borrow a studio to shoot the podcasts, and we get to borrow a lot of cool equipment and whatnot. Well, that studio is about to undergo some construction. So next week we'll probably be back in the studio, but we weren't able to get into it tonight for various reasons. But I also figured since it was just a Jake Solo special, we'd try a little something different today. So if you're watching on YouTube, remember to comment and let us know what you think. And if you like this kind of new set, if it sounds better, this is a much smaller room than we're used to working with. So I'm thinking the acoustics are probably going to be a little bit better. But I'm just curious. This is kind of my B location outside of the place we normally get to borrow. So I'm curious if it should be our A location. I could probably dress it up a little bit nicer, but for the time being, this was a very simple, quickly thrown together set. So anyway, hope you like it. But yeah, we got a great show for you this week. We're going to be talking about a couple things, namely the Zelda DLC that was announced earlier this week. We're going to kind of break that down, talk about how we feel about it, how I feel about it since Brody's not here. But also we're going to be talking about the writer's strike that we found out today, again being Wednesday. This is earlier than we normally film, so that's another reason, part of why Brody isn't here today. But we're going to talk about that writer's strike that almost happened, and talk a little bit about how devastating that could have been. We're going to talk about the Defenders trailer that also dropped today. And yeah, we're gonna have a great show for you. It's gonna be really good. Gonna give you a little insight into what's going on and our thoughts as the above average gamer. Alrighty, so first things first, let's get into the news. Nintendo, for whatever reason, decided to announce I'm gonna try to get this right, the new 2DS XL. Try and say that 5 times fast. Basically, it's a bigger, better 2DS, which is the cheaper model of the 3DS. My understanding is that it doesn't do 3D like the 3DS, which if you're anything like me, I don't necessarily care for 3D. After watching or using it for a while, I tend to get headaches or my eyes start to hurt, so I don't typically use it very much. But all that said, it can play all the same games as a 3DS, like it's shown on the video on the screen back here. It's got Fire Emblem, it's got Pokemon Sun and Moon, it's got all of these games. It's got Pikmin, the new Pikmin game that's coming out is coming on it. The Me adventure game, whatever. I mean, it looks fine. Like, I like the look of it. I just don't know. I don't know why. And Reggie, who's the president of USA Nintendo, has come out saying that, they intend this to be kind of an in-between phase for anybody who doesn't necessarily want to spend the money on a 3DS, but they want, and they don't want something quite as nice as the Switch. Which for me, and I've probably talked about this before, it's all about the games for me. It's all about the games. If this 2DS had a version of Pokemon that I couldn't play anywhere else, I'd buy it. But it doesn't. It can play everything that your 3DS can. if you haven't gotten into the 3DS market or you're not in the Nintendo Portable market, then this is a great option for you. It's $150. That's an awesome price point. I wish that I didn't have a 3DS so that I could buy this now, because I just recently bought a 3DS. I bought it after Pokemon Go came out. I had a real Pokemon itch, and so I got a 3DS to play some of the older Pokemon games that had come out, but also to prep for Pokemon Sun and Moon. And so diving into it late, there were tons of games that had come out that I got to kind of revisit and cycle through and play through and whatnot. So if you're not in the DS family yet and you want to be, and you've seen some 3DS games that you were just like, I don't know that I'm into it, this is a great cheap way to buy in and start all of that. If you didn't get to play Pokemon Sun and Moon, all of that good stuff, this is a great option for you. Outside of that, I really don't get it. I don't know why this exists. I don't know why this is here. I mean, like I said, I just bought a 3DS. I think I got it for $200 or so. Got it for fairly cheap. I mean, this is only $50 cheaper, but it's brand new. I don't know. And also this naming scheme. They've got the new 2DS XL. I don't think there's an old 2DS XL. I know there's an old 2DS, but it's so confusing. And I mean, you would think after Wii and Wii U and how that whole fiasco went, they would have learned their lesson. Obviously, they did with the Switch, but not so with the new 2DS XL. So anyway, enough about that. Just not sure who this is for, other than someone who has waited all this time for a cheap way to get in. This is it. Otherwise, I don't know what this is for. Okay, so let's get into some Zelda news. We finally know what is going to be coming with that first DLC pack that you get with the Season Pass, the Expansion Pass, that Aonuma announced before Breath of the Wild was officially released. So, anywho, very exciting. We had talked before when they announced that there was going to be DLC, which they gave us very, very brief information. We knew there would be a hard mode. We knew there would be some sort of map feature, which we weren't sure what that would be. We knew there would be some sort of trial mode, and of course new armor and that sort of thing. But we didn't know any specifics at all. And we at least know most of the specifics now. So I'm reading right off of Nintendo's website, just kind of looking through here, giving some basics. But there's a couple things that they're giving you in this DLC. I now feel a lot more justified in the purchase on the front end. I think between the two, this is going to end up being worth what we're paying for. Which again, the expansion pass is only $20, I think. So, but anyway, let me go on. So, talks about the trial of the sword. This is basically replacing, or not replacing, but it's the cave trials, if you will, that we see in most of the Zelda games. So in Wind Waker, there was this sort of thing where you go in a cave, you fight through rooms and rooms of enemies and get certain rewards at the end. Same deal. The Cave of Shadows that you did in Twilight Princess HD with Wolf Link, to have Wolf Link in Breath of the Wild. That's those kind of things. You know what I'm talking about. There are about 45 rooms it mentions. It says it's going to have enemies from all over the game. It's going to be one wave after another. Link, this is interesting. Link starts the challenge without any equipment or weapons. So it's basically like you're walking out of the Resurrection Shrine, and if the whole game was nothing but combat, this is what you're doing. Which I think is very interesting. The catch to this, the reward for doing this, is that the energy of the Master Sword will never die. So suddenly the Master Sword becomes an unbreakable weapon. There's a point if you use the Master Sword too much where it runs out of energy and you have to give it time to recharge. I think you even have to take it back to the Great Dooku Tree. I don't know that for sure. I pretty much, once it said, if you use it, you'll lose its energy, I was like, I'm not using this weapon. So I've hardly used it in the game. But anywho, that's pretty exciting. and surely there will be other rewards. I've got on screen here. There's some shots of some armor that we're gonna get into, but maybe this is part of where you get that. I'm not sure, but anyway, that mysterious map feature we now know is the hero path. This is very, very interesting, and it's kind of funny because I've heard a bunch of people say, "Oh, I wish, it'd be really cool to see, somehow map out what paths everyone took when they came out of the cave of resurrection or whatever, the shrine of resurrection. Which way did this person go? Which way did everyone go?" Well, now they have updated it to where the hero path. I'm not sure how you get to this. I'm sure it's somewhere in the menus, but you can look, and there will be a green line that paints itself onto your map that shows you everywhere you've been in the last 200 hours. Now, I've played Legend of Zelda a lot. I've beaten the entire game. I've played I've done all the shrines. I've done all the side quests. The only thing that I haven't done is found all the Korok seeds, and we'll get there in a minute. But I still don't think I've reached over 200 hours. That's a lot of hours. That's a lot of time. I still don't think I'm in that range. So I could look, and this works backwards anyway too. So once I update this, once I download this, supposedly I'll be able to see what I did from day one of playing the game, all the way through to to where I am right now. That's awesome, and I hope the community gets on board with this and, like, I don't know, post pictures of, like, here's my path, here's what I did, and just kind of show people the paths they took. I have to imagine that half of mine is going to be it's all going to be covered. It's just all going to be swarmed. But I know for a fact that Brody, he got out of the Resurrection Shrine and he went straight to Gerudo Desert just about. That was the first place he went. That was the last place I went. So I went left. I basically worked my way left to Kakariko Village, all the way over to Hinta Valley, or however you say it, and then worked my way north through the Zoro all the way to Akira. Is that right? Did that. Then I hit the Gorons. Then I went behind the castle, went over to the Rito, and then went back down to the Gerudo people. And then I looped my way back around and did the part that's right behind the Great Plateau, and kind of went into the jungle area. And then from there, I kind of jumped back and forth between where I needed to go to do which shrine and what task I was trying to do. But anywho, all that to say, I know Brody and my paths are going to be drastically different. So I think it would be very interesting to see like a lot of these. And I don't know if Nintendo's going to, like, take data from people to try and figure out, almost everybody went this way, or almost, what percentage of people went this way or that way. Those would be really interesting numbers to know. So this is a really cool feature. I'm really excited about the hero path. It also mentions hard mode. Basically, like you think in all hard modes, all the enemies are bumped up a level. Basically, red bokoblins no longer exist. They are automatically bumped up to blue bokoblins. Energies have so there's supposedly, like, I think it's white. I think it's the white Lionels and the white bokoblins. Those are like the top tier, hardest form of enemies that you'll find. Supposedly there's going to be a new version of those that are even harder. I'd like to think that means they'll have even stronger weapons too that we can take with us, but it may just be something like, there's the Royal Guard series of weapons that are in Hyrule Castle that are incredibly strong. I wouldn't be surprised if these, like, even higher level enemies than in normal mode, I wouldn't be surprised if those guys have those weapons. There's also going to be enemies in the sky. I've got an image of this real quick. Let me scroll ahead through all the cool stuff we get. There's a shot right here. Excuse me. It's like some platforms that are floating in the sky using octoballoons or whatever. Supposedly you can get up there and there will sometimes be treasure chests. So I don't know. I don't really know what that's all about. Um, the other big thing about hard mode is enemies regain health. So you can't just slowly, pick off an enemy over the course of an hour. Um, I remember in, is it Evertide Island? The island, spoilers if you haven't gotten to this island yet, but there's an island there. As soon as you land on it, it becomes a trial and it takes all of your equipment and you're basically stranded on an island and you have to survive. There's a Hinox on that island and I killed it to get an orb that I needed to complete the challenge. Actually, I don't even know that I killed it because what I tried to do originally was kill it, but I didn't have any strong weapons, so I just was throwing bombs. And I basically got up as high as I could and threw bombs at it, and slowly just wore it out. But at some point, it reset. Like I either lost sight of him because I was having to run in a loop, or something happened and it reset him, and it was a nightmare. But now I really couldn't do that because he would slowly regain health over time. So that's an incredibly interesting catch there. But I think this is an exciting thing. It's an exciting hard mode. I think in a year or so maybe I'll want to come back to this and beat it again in hard mode, kind of like how I felt with Witcher. Played through Witcher normally. About a year later, the itch for a Witcher game came back. I was like, why don't I do the hard mode game plus, which basically keeps all your stats and all your weapons and stuff and just starts you over in a new game, but everything's harder. I wish Zelda would do that. There's no indication from what I can see. It looks like you just start completely over. So, in a year or so, maybe even a few months, I'll have an itch to play this whole game again, and I'll definitely want to try it. But anywho. This, I'm not really sure what the benefit is, but it's called the Travel Medallion. I showed an image of it here. Basically, it just looks like when you look, if you've played the game, you've seen kind of when you walk into a shrine, there's the blue area on the ground that glows and it opens the shrine, and that's where you teleport to. It looks like one of those, and like I said, it's called the Travel Medallion. It says somewhere in the world there is a chest with a travel medallion inside. When you use this, you can register your current location as a fast travel point on the map. You can only register one location using the travel medallion. I have no idea what the purpose of this is. It sounds fairly straightforward. You drop this medallion, it makes this glowing orb, and you can teleport back to that spot from anywhere, which is fine. It sounds like to me, I don't know. This would only be useful for like a very secluded place that you found, and maybe you realize, oh crap, I need, bananas or something for what I'm doing right now. Drop the medallion, travel out to a shrine that's near bananas, grab the bananas, and then travel back to that specific spot instead of traveling to a shrine that's relatively close. That's the only benefit I can think of. But when I first read this, I was like, oh, cool, we can fast travel anytime. But then it was like, no, we can already do that. One of the tricks in the game is if you're falling and you are either out of energy so you can't pull out your paraglider or whatever, a trick is to just fast travel and it'll stop you mid-flight and zap you to wherever you want to go and you'll be fine and safe. So I don't know. This is a little bit of a weirder one. Maybe there's an application that I'm not thinking about that I just never had a need for, that someone else would be like, oh my gosh, this is a godsend. I'm totally going to use this all the time. And if that is the case, let me know because I don't know what I'm doing with it. Then the thing that I'm really excited about is they dropped a lot of new gear. So I'll kind of roll through this as they do. They mentioned that the Majora's Mask is going to be there, which looks awesome. Midna's helmet is going to be there, which I'm a huge Midna fan. I'm also a huge Majora's Mask fan. So that's exciting. We're also getting the Phantom armor. Brody in particular is really, really excited about this. I think it looks awesome. It's definitely the most armored look I've seen. I mean, we've got I guess it's the Royal Guard armor that you get in the game. That's very armory, but this is even more so just full on bulk armor. Very exciting. And then, of course, Tingle's outfit, uh, which which has Tingle's hat, a shirt, and then tights. So far, from what I've seen on Twitter, everyone seems to be uh, giddy with excitement about this one, just because of how ridiculous it is. I think it was somebody from IGN had tweeted that their favorite meta game with Breath of the Wild and Zelda in general is making Link look like a fool in whatever game. I think that it was. I think they posted a picture of Mario Kart, and it was Link on a teddy bear riding around, and then in this it was Link in some ridiculous outfit, and it was just kind of funny. But anywho, all this armor looks really good. It says there are 8 chests that will be placed around Hyrule, containing armor themed after previous Zelda titles. Watch for tips as to the whereabouts of these chests as you travel around Hyrule. So very exciting. What I'm most curious about is if you've played the game at all, you know that most gear has some sort of benefit. Almost every piece of outfit does something for you. So I'm very curious to see what Majora's Mask is going to do. I have to imagine it will bump up, your attack or something. Same with Midna's Helmet. Maybe it'll boost stealth or something. It'd be awesome would be if Phantom Armor had a really high defense class, but it also was stealthy somehow. That would be exciting. And then who knows what Tingle's outfit is. I'm going to bet right now that Tingle's outfit is going to give you speed. But who knows? I don't know. The other thing I'll mention just about this is I'm really glad that these aren't attached to Amiibo, because all of the other old or past Zelda game outfits are all connected to that past Link's Amiibo. I mean, they've already announced that they're bringing in a Skyward Sword, a Twilight Princess, and a Majora's Mask Amiibo that will unlock those Link's outfit. I know for the Majora's Mask, it's the Fierce Deity. Link is who you'll be unlocking all those outfits and weapons and stuff. And that's all fine. I like Amiibo. I've got a bunch of Zelda Amiibo. But it is just nice to see, like, okay, I'll be able to find the Majora's Mask. I'll be able to do whatever. So very curious to see what these are going to end up doing. But yada yada. All right, last but certainly not least is they are giving us a Korok mask, which is right here on the screen now. Basically, it's a Korok. Looks like a Korok leaf. I forget the name. There was in Wind Waker there was a Korok who helped you out in your quests, and I can't remember her name now that I'm sitting here. It's not Midna or Melody, because I'm pretty sure Melody was the Rito that helped you. Anyway, regardless, it looks like the Korok from Wind Waker. But anyway, this mask will shake while wearing it if Link is near a hidden Korok location. There are 900 Koroks in the game, so hidden Koroks in the game, so this should be shaking a lot. Like I said, I've done everything but the Korok seeds. This will probably give me a little bit more incentive to go about looking for them. That said, 900 is a lot, and I don't know if you've seen what you get for it, but it's it's very strange, and I don't know that anyone's found what its use is yet. I haven't looked up to see if someone has figured it out yet recently, but last I had checked, no one really knew what it was supposed to do. So I'm not sure how high the incentive to find it is, but I imagine at some point it will become relevant. But anywho, very exciting. First DLC pack. It's definitely going to get me in. I'm definitely going to do the trial of the sword. I definitely want to find the new armor and such. I'm pleased. I'm pleased. Knowing that the second DLC is gonna come out sometime in the holidays, and knowing that it'll have a story, a new dungeon, I can only hope more weapons. I really hope that it will somehow expand the map and that this dungeon won't just land, in Central Hyrule, and have some sort of connection there. I hope there will be some expansion that the map will just grow a little bit, or maybe something entirely different. I hope, fingers crossed, it would be some sort of flying thing, and we could get some Loftwings in the game. That would be amazing, but that's hyping way beyond hope, way beyond expectation. So let us know what you think. I'm curious if anyone else is excited about all the content that they have. The trial of the swords is definitely worth it. I think that'll be great. But a big question is, should some of this just already have been in the game? Should we have already had a trial, trial of the sword already in the game? Shouldn't that have just been part of it? And then, the hard mode, that's usually something that just comes with the game. Is it justified to be separate? I don't know that I would say it is, but I'm curious to see where some of you fall on that argument. So, let us know what you think about those. All right, Defenders trailer dropped today. Again, we're filming this on a Wednesday, a little bit earlier than usual, but this dropped this morning. Defenders is finally almost here. August 18th is when it's coming out. We're finally seeing all these tiny little worlds suddenly start to collide. Right off the bat, we've got Jessica Jones. She's in an interrogation room. Matthew Murdock walks in and is like, "Shut up, Jessica. Don't talk anymore," And then we see Luke Cage and Iron Fist finally meet. I think I've mentioned before on the catch-up that I, was a little underwhelmed by Iron Fist, but I really just watched it to see if Luke Cage was ever going to show up. And because in the comics, they're best buds. So it was kind of funny seeing their first meeting, they're fighting, and then Claire kind of talks to him and is like, y'all are all on the same team, like, chill out. But anywho, we see Elektra here later on in the thing. I can't really tell what all they're after. It's just kind of talking about, it's kind of hyping up that these four man on the street superheroes are finally coming together. We see a lot of conflict with the Hand. Obviously, Elektra is back. She's with the Hand at this point. But it's mostly just the team. We also just saw Sigourney Weaver. I think I say her name right. We know that she's the main villain, but we don't know who she is. So that's going to be interesting. There are a lot of theories on who she's going to be with. I love this team dynamic. I'll kind of get to Sigourney Weaver in a minute, but I really just love the team dynamic that they've got going here. A minute ago, Jessica Jones was like, "You look ridiculous," talking to Daredevil because he had a mask over his face, and he's like, "It's your scarf," whatever. I think this is going to be one of the closest feelings to the original Avengers movie, where it was just this moment where suddenly all of these things are coming together and they're forming a team, and we've had team superhero movies for a long time, Fantastic Four, that sort of thing. Even when the Justice League movie comes out, it's not going to be as exciting because, I don't know, maybe it will be because we'll have Wonder Woman by that point, but it's just not going to be as epic as having, we've had, 6 movies introduce all these heroes, and here they all are, like they're all here together in one movie. That moment was just awesome. I kind of got that excitement watching this trailer. Just seeing these 4 lower end people join together. I'm very excited to see where they go with it. That said, we don't know who Sigourney Weaver's villain is yet. Obviously, Almost all of the Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Iron Fist, obviously Iron Fist a lot, and Luke Cage. Almost all of them have some sort of run-in with the hand, whether it's something really small or large. In the case of Daredevil and Iron Fist, there's some sort of run-in with the hand. So there's a lot of thinking that I personally, I think Sigourney Weaver is going to have something to do with the hand. They're kind of the underground organization that's been heavy and kind of up front in the Netflix Marvel universe. One of the characters that she possibly could be, and I'm just kind of scrolling through, there's this thing called the Beast of the Hand. As far as I know, it hasn't been mentioned in any of these other Netflix series, but the hand, basically, there's this demon, the beast, that uses the hand to fulfill his never-ending thirst for death and destruction. The beast can possess anyone. He even took over Daredevil at some point in the comics. So, it could be that Sigourney Weaver is playing that character or is possessed by that character. Anywho, it would be really interesting to see, again, just because of the hand serving her. The only thing that I'm curious about with this is we know Elektra is the black, or we think Elektra is the black sky, which is what the hand was looking for in Daredevil. Daredevil, it might have been mentioned in 1, but it's a core theme in 2. Basically, it's just kind of their end all be all. Like, this is what we're after. This is who we're trying to do. And Styx even mentions when they get hold of Elektra, he's like, that war that you don't believe in, we just lost. And in the trailer, Styx is in it, and he kind of talks about, war is coming. The war for New York is about to begin. And just seeing how much the hand has been in New York and doing stuff, I have to imagine that she's somehow involved with the hand, regardless of who she is. I've looked through some rumors, and there's some people who think she's going to be part of another organization, Roxxon, that she might be one of the leaders there, and that may be true. Maybe that Roxxon is trying to do something outside of the hand. And for those of you that don't know, Roxxon is they're a recurring secret organization in the Marvel universe. They're a lot like the Hand and a lot like Hydra. Secret organization trying to control things from behind the scenes, trying to get control. Usually don't have good morals, whatever. Very similar to Hydra, and it could be, for all we know, Sigourney Weaver could be a Hydra personnel. Some people think that she's going to be Viper, who's a leader in Hydra. And while I think that's a good call, they just haven't had a lot of Hydra mentionings in the Netflix universe. That's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is all Hydra at this point. I'm not completely caught up, but a lot of it is is all talking about Hydra. So I find it hard to believe that they've been heavy on the hand and now they're going to jump into the Hydra. If that's what it is, that's what it is. So, anywho, yeah, I'm really excited. I think this is going to be a good show. It's kind of hard to think of it as a show. I keep thinking of it as a movie, like it's going to be just one big shebang with all the heroes. But I'm interested to see how it's going to weave everything together. I'm curious how it's going to deal with the individual storylines that are happening. Daredevil, we left season 2 with Elektra. We thought she was dead. Spoilers for any of these shows, but Jessica Jones, she wasn't really sure what she needed to do next. I think Luke Cage got arrested. Iron Fist, he and his ninja girlfriend went back to Kai Lung, however you say it, and it's gone. He thinks the hand destroyed it or the gate closed on it. I mean, there's a lot going on. So I'm just very curious if, how Iron Fist left off. Are we going to deal with any of that during Defenders? Who knows? Who knows? In the Avengers series, or not series, but in Avengers, everybody kind of came together for that moment, and we kind of handled one big bad. But as far as like advancing each individual character's story, not so much. It just kind of brought everybody together, and then we didn't really discuss what had happened. We just kept moving forward. So I don't know, but I'm curious. I'm excited. I feel like this is going to be a lot like Avengers, and it's just going to be a ball of excitement for what's happened. So curious if it's going to go on to Defender Season 2. Curious how it's going to affect the rest of the Netflix shows. But all in all, very, very excited. I'm going to talk about basically the Writers Guild had basically prepared to organize a strike. The first one the first big one since 2007, I believe. When I was prepping for the podcast, it was they're about to go on strike unless a deal can be met. I believe yesterday was supposed to be when the strike would start. But supposedly at some point they made a deal at the last second, and the writer's strike is no longer going to be happening. I won't hark on it for very long since it's now handled, but I'll kind of let you know what ended up happening. So basically, the Writers Guild of America, they were fed up with low wages, low benefits, that sort of thing, and we're going to post a strike. They had organized it all, and basically, unless they could reach a deal with producers, they were going to go on strike, and that was going to be that. The last time this happened was in 2007, and I can't remember all of the shows and movies that were affected by it, but a big one that directly affected me was Heroes. Heroes, between season 1 and season 2 is when this writer's strike happened, and it just about destroyed the show. That last writer's strike went on for about 3 months before some sort of deal was struck, but it drastically changed a lot of shows. I think it was the bullet that kind of shut Heroes down. I don't think it was ever quite the same after that first season and after this writer's strike, but anywho, it was bad, that first one that came through. So this was something that no one wanted to deal with again. So it's no surprise to me that they got it handled. But basically, the deal is now the Writers Guild of America, they got a deal that's going to increase minimum wage for writers. It's going to up their residential payments. It's going to up their health care, etc., that sort of thing. But it's also but yeah, so it's going to increase their minimum wage. It's going to increase their residual payments, and then healthcare, things like that. The Writers Guild also released a statement that it's not everything they wanted, but it's more than they expected to get, which I'm not really sure how that works, but they got a good deal out of it, it looks like. So the writer's strike is off. All of our shows are saved. Basically, any show that is still in the creative writing process, or some shows that they write as they film and that sort of thing, those all could have been potentially affected. Like Game of Thrones is filming right now. A lot of that pre-production is done. So shows like that are already knee deep in filming would have been fine. It's stuff that are still being written, still being worked on, that would have really had a problem. But crisis averted. We are no longer going to have to deal with that. They were able to work it out. So anyway, it was potentially going to be big bad news, but I'm happy to say that it's just a tiny bit of good news. And that's it for our show this week. Thank you very much for tuning in. I hope you have enjoyed this Jake solo special. Let us know what you think. We are always looking for feedback and comments. We want to know what you guys are thinking about all these stories. What do you think about the Defenders? Are you excited? Does it have you hyped? Do you think it looks stupid? Did they not show us enough? Did they show us too much? Do you think it's going to be like Avengers? Let us know. What did you think about the writer's strike? Are you glad that didn't happen? Are you someone who was going to be affected by this? What are your thoughts there? What do you think about the new 2DS XL? Do you think it's stupid like I do? Are you really excited you're getting one? Let us know what you're thinking there. And then also, what do you think about the Zelda DLC? Is it worth it? Should it have come with the game to begin with? We want to know. We want to hear your thoughts. You can get back to us in several ways. If you're watching the YouTube show, or if you're watching on YouTube right now, you're already at ChortleGames.com, and you can leave us a nice little comment there. We usually tend to respond to those. We certainly see them, and we appreciate any feedback we can get from you guys. There's also ChortleCast@gmail.com. You can send us an email. Let us know your thoughts. If you've got any topics you want to hear us talk about, we'd love to hear suggestions from that. If there's a news story you think we should know about that you want to hear us talk about, you can do that way. And then, of course, you can always get us on Twitter at ChortleGames. And also, if you're listening through a podcast service, you can leave us a nice little review. iTunes is the best place to do that right now. So we'd really appreciate any kind of feedback we can get there. But yeah, that's it. We want to know your thoughts. Trying to think if there's anything else I'm missing. ChortleGames.com. This week on YouTube. This past week we had Night in the Woods, and then we had our first foray into Lovers in a Dangerous Space-Time. It was very fun to film. It was very fun to edit. So I hope you saw that and enjoyed that. So if you missed those, go back and check them out. But looking forward to next week, we're continuing Night in the Woods. I believe, I'm trying to think of what happens in the next episode. We had just come out of a nightmare. No. We had just gotten to band practice after a crazy wild party night for May. So we're going to do band practice again, and all sorts of adventures are going to unfold from there. And then Wednesday, we're going to have this little game called Chicken Scream, which if you haven't heard about it, you won't be able to forget it after you watch the show. And you should not wear headphones for that episode because it's going to be very, very loud. So stay tuned and look forward to those coming up this week. Outside of that, that's it for today. We really appreciate you guys and all the support that we're getting. Like I said, comment, let us know what you think. We are here, and we have such a small audience at this point. We are really looking to serve the people who are with us right now. So any thoughts, any comments you have, we certainly will listen to them. But yeah, that's it. That's been another Jake solo special here on ChortleCast. We'll see you next time.